Hey everyone, thank you all for joining in the Dyndrite Developer Conference here. We're really excited about what Dyndrite is building. I want to take some time to talk about Desktop Metal. We are a metal 3D printing company, and my name is Arjun Aggarwal. I run business development and product at the company. We were founded a couple years ago with the goal of making 3D printing accessible for engineers, designers, and manufacturers. And really making it a technology that can be used across the product lifecycle, all the way from prototyping to pilot runs to mass production. I mentioned we were founded a couple years ago in 2015, led by leaders from manufacturing, metallurgy, robotics. We've raised over 400 million since inception. From investors such as Kleiner Perkins, Google, and some folks from the automotive world, Ford and BMW as well. I want to take a few minutes to talk about why we're here. Desktop Metal, why we're here. There's a lot of promise that's been made around 3D printing and what it can bring to all of you who are looking at manufacturing, from rapid prototyping and part consolidation and the ability to create complex geometries, to the ability to customize designs at mass scales or create bespoke designs for customers. And then all the way to some of the longer term benefits around really re-architecting supply chain. So on-demand manufacturing and supply chain re-engineering, these are things that are not yet really a benefit, but as the technology gets more broadly deployed, you can really see them being key advantages of the technology. And I think in the weird coronavirus environment that we're in today, many manufacturers now really understand the need for tools like 3D printing to have a flexible supply chain. What are the issues? The issues, or at least as we see them, are that there's a few factors that have prevented 3D printing from really being able to achieve those promises. And they're really at a high level around the speed of the existing systems, the cost, and not just cost of the systems themselves, but the cost per part, so the economics, the facilities requirements, as well as the material support. So we set out to overcome some of these challenges, and over the past few years, we've developed a portfolio of 3D printers, not just metal, as in our name Desktop Metal here, but we actually also recently launched a composite 3D printing. So we're really focused on engineering, application, and engineering materials with this broad set of applications, of systems. Our first system that I'll talk a little bit about each of these now, Fiber. This is a continuous fiber 3D printing system, so you can use advanced composite materials such as PEEK and PEC, get really high strength parts at low weights. We are also leveraging a new process that Desktop Metal has created called micro automated fiber placement. This uses the same raw materials as what players in the aerospace industry use. So continuous fiber tape as opposed to filament. And at the same time, we're able to get really good quality on our parts, really nice surface finish. And the whole process of creating parts is leveraging an automated software workflow that we've developed around how to lay out that continuous fiber tape, how to alternate directions from layer to layer so you can get properties just what you need in the direction of your forces. One of the interesting things about this product is that we're launching it with a subscription-based pricing. So starting at a little under $3,500 a year, and that allows you to upgrade your technology so you're never left with obsolete hardware. Here is a smattering of parts, so you can see some level of complex geometries, a variety of different sizes that we're able to produce with our fiber system. The next system, this is the one that we first came to market with, the Studio system. It's one of the first office-friendly metal 3D printing systems in the market, really good for low volumes of parts. Think prototyping, jigs and fixtures, where 3D printing has really traditionally called home. It's safe for the office, minimal facilities requirements, and very easy to use for designers and engineers. There's no loose powders, no lasers that you have to deal with. We make post-processing very easy and have a workflow integrated via software with easy to change materials, push pop cartridges, and we're shipping pretty broadly around the world right now. Again, here's an array of different parts from a number of different industries. You see things from consumer parts to tooling to end-use parts for more manufacturing use cases as well. On the other side of the coin, from low volume, kind of mid, we have our two binder jet metal 3D printers, which are really focused on scaling your production. So maybe if you start with the studio system, or you're in the low volume side with our fiber or our studio system, if you're looking at scaling up, we developed two systems to help you do that. The first is our shop system, which is a binder jetting solution. It's built and designed specifically for machine shops and job shops to be a scalable, cost-effective solution for a mid-volume niche. So think hundreds of parts, thousands of parts, maybe even tens of thousands of parts a year. It's really good for that kind of volumes. You can get to market in that scale with no tooling required, with speeds significantly faster than other technologies in the market. You can also actually get really high quality parts, so near net shape out of the furnace with high resolution features, and you're able to really get complex geometries. The great thing about the shop system is that it is a turnkey optimized solution. So from digital part to sintered part, all with one system here offered by Desktop Metal, using consumables and materials optimized by Desktop Metal. This is one area where we are currently working with Dyndrite on enabling their software for build prep. So it's one of the things that we're working on, and we're excited to see what Dyndrite has developed in terms of speeding up and simplifying the build prep process. Our last system that I'll spend a little bit of time talking about today is the production system. And this is really a mass production industrial 3D printing solution. So meant for customers that are looking at quantities of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even geometry dependent millions of parts per year. It's also leveraging binder jetting technology, slightly different hardware from what we've got in our shop system. It's powered by our unique take on the technology. We call it single pass jetting, in which all of the functions in the printer are combined into one print carriage, from spreading powder to depositing ink. It's all done in a single pass over a build bed, and also done bidirectionally. So we're able to get some pretty incredible speeds and very competitive part costs that are competitive, we believe, with traditional manufacturing. So we think that there's huge application across a number of different industries: automotive, oil and gas, consumer electronics, even consumer products, as we mentioned. This is really intended for printing end-use parts that you would put in other technologies or serve up right to your customers directly. So here you can see some of our binder jet parts. Some of these are shop and some of these are production, but it gives you a good sense for the types of geometries and the complexity of geometries that we're able to do. If you look at a number of these, machining them would be very hard. Even sometimes producing them via casting or molding could be very difficult. Whereas with our shop system and our production system, you're able to get to this type of geometry in much fewer steps than, say, it would take with a machine. And you're able to do that without all of the cost of machine programming or having to pay expense for a tool. You can really easily use our build prep software, or eventually work with Dyndrite build prep software as well, to load up your parts, nest your build, and send it to our printer. And from there on, it's a pretty automated hands-off process. Here are some of our customers. Again, you can see we've got broad adoption across a variety of industries, ranging from automotive to oil and gas to machine tooling to consumer products. So if you're interested in Desktop Metal solutions, you'll be in good company. And we're also deployed across the world. So we're really a global company. You don't see Asia Pacific on here, but we've got systems out in Asia Pacific as well, and broadly adopted across the world. So we're excited to be working with Dyndrite on what they're developing, and we're excited to be having conversations about how to make metal 3D printing and continuous fiber composite 3D printing economic and more accessible to everyone out there. And we'd love to have a conversation with you and to learn more about what you're building today.
All right. Great presentation, Arjun. I'm so impressed by the content that's happening today. We've got one question from Anonymous. How do you address shrink factor percentage after furnace post-processing to ensure that geometrical tolerances are met?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. So one of the nuances, if you're more familiar with our process, is that there is a furnace involved, and in that sintering step that occurs in the furnace, there is some shrinkage. We actually have done a bunch of testing to determine what that shrinkage is. It varies a little bit depending on the geometry. It varies a little bit depending on the metal that you're using. But we actually compensate for that in the software automatically. So all you have to worry about is what are the final part dimensions, and Desktop Metal will handle the shrinkage and take care of all the compensation.
All right, thank you. So a compliment. Hello, I'm impressed by the speed of the process. Can you describe in more details why is it so fast?
Yeah, I think one of the big differences between some of the more traditional forms of 3D printing, from FFF, so fused filament fabrication, to laser-based solutions, is that they're what I call vector-based. So they trace out your part layer by layer. I think as we look at binder jet, we see it as a great solution for products that need to be scaled, because it's actually what we call a raster-based process. So without any additional time, you can print one part or 10 parts. So the amount of throughput, the time it takes to print that doesn't scale linearly. So you can get really nice throughput efficiencies from that process.
Great question, Ivan. All right, and then last question. What is your strategy for meeting customer needs going forward? How is Dyndrite helping you with software plans?
Yeah, I think one of the issues with build prep in the additive world, or there's a bunch of issues, and I think that's the reason that Dyndrite exists. But a lot of it has to do with simplifying workflows and automating processes, as well as ensuring that the time it takes to actually prepare your jobs doesn't get too long. And so I think, we're looking at working with Dyndrite with an eye towards solving both of those issues, which is simplifying the process and making sure that it's pretty speedy. So some of those benefits, which I mentioned earlier in my presentation, around, being able to reduce setup costs and being able to reduce labor costs around that, are actually achievable and can be realized by making sure that the software is quick, easy to use, and high fidelity.